This was sacrilegious. I mean, there were people who gave Barack Obama hell for a tan suit and a selfie stick. And you have somebody out here who's mocking Jesus Christ, and the Republican Party, GOP, they think they're God's only party anyway. They simply can't say our president messed up.
Another day brings another wild controversy tied to Donald Trump and MAGA. This time after Trump shared an AI-generated image of Jesus and then denied it, which quickly set off a wave of reactions. And just like before, his supporters started twisting logic in every direction to defend him. So in this segment, we will break down key moments from a tense panel on Abby Phillips' CNN show, where Bari Weiss and Lee McGowan strongly challenge what they see as far-right misinformation coming from Noah Rothman and Howie Carr. And along the way, I will also add my own perspective as we go through it step by step.
Tonight, an uncharacteristic move by President Trump. After significant blowback from both the left and the right, he's now deleted this AI-generated post depicting himself as Jesus. But according to him, that isn't the likeness of Jesus, and he's surprised that anyone would think otherwise.
It wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better.
But tonight, Vice President J.D. Vance had a different explanation. He said Trump is just trying to be funny.
Right. I think the president was posting a joke, and of course he took it down because he recognized that a lot of people weren't understanding his humor in that case. I think the president of the United States likes to mix it up on social media, and I actually think that's one of the good things about this president is that he's not filtered.
Father Edward Beck is here with us at the table. Father Beck, is this a funny joke? It seems like most people didn't take it that way.
Well, I think rightly so. What doctor have you ever seen with light rays coming out of his hands to heal someone and rays from heaven coming down blessing him in red and white garments? I mean, the president, I think, is being disingenuous, quite frankly, by saying he thinks it was a doctor's image he was posting. There's no Red Cross image in the photograph. There's an image of a nurse in a blue uniform, but nothing about the Red Cross. So I just think all of his comments did not follow what everybody else saw. And for J.D. Vance to say it was simply him being humorous, I think, well, which was it? If he was trying to be humorous, most people didn't get it. So basically, we're blaming people for not getting his humor and the liberal media for not getting it. I just think you always put the blame somewhere else, but why not just say, look, I made a mistake. I posted the wrong thing. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. I just think that would be more reasonable.
Because he deleted it, but then lied about it?
That's not who he is. I mean, I think we have to get to the point where we're like, when are the lies enough lies? When do the people of America who support this man say, this is enough lies? Like, quite clearly, everyone who's ever dressed up for Halloween knows if you're a doctor, you put on a white coat and a stethoscope. Like, that's the doctor costume, not the Jesus costume, which is what Donald Trump put himself out being. And it's putting himself in the place of God, not with God, in the place of God. I think the bigger issue here is that Trump's behavior from the whole week is that he's not mentally fit to be in this position right now. He threatened 90 million people with instantaneous death. He's terrorizing the world. He's ruining the economy. He's basically said we're going to get rid of a 6,000-year-old civilization. And then he went to an ultimate fighting championship game to wave at people, right? Like, we can't pretend that this is okay, that America is the good guy in this situation. It's no longer even pretending that we represent freedom and justice or democracy in the world when we have this one man with unquestioned, unchecked power acting however he wants, and then we try and make excuses for it after the fact. It's too much, and we have to stop.
So, Lee is not the only person describing Trump's behavior recently as erratic. And the Times put it all together in a piece that says Trump's erratic behavior and extreme comments revive mental health debate as the former president threatens to wipe out Iran, attacks the Pope. Even some former allies and advisors are questioning whether he's grown increasingly unbalanced, describing him as lunatic and clearly insane. And look, let's pretend that it's not Trump. If someone that you loved who is in a position of power, like a CEO or something, posted something like that, people would be calling and asking, are you okay?
Well, I think what the reason Trump said that is because the person that originally posted it was, I think, February 6th. And he actually said he posted it because Trump is the doctor for the country. And that's why he posted it out there. Now, the image is obviously a problem, which is why President Trump pulled it down. But I believe President Trump probably didn't think of it as being Jesus at the time. He saw it as, oh, I'm healing the country, which is what
you believe that.
No, I believe that.
Depicting
I definitely believe.
Hal, you believe that he was depicting himself as a doctor?
Well, that's what the original post was about, and so Trump retweeted it.
No, I believe, because I don't think Donald Trump knows who Jesus is. Well, so I honestly believe that he was confused. I mean, the fact that people can't call a spade, like, this was sacrilegious. I mean, there were people who gave Barack Obama hell for a tan suit and a selfie stick, and you have somebody out here who's mocking Jesus Christ, and the Republican Party, GOP, they think they're God's only party anyway. They simply can't say our president messed up. And then when Riley Gaines, who I don't agree with on much of nothing, Jason Whitlock, who I don't agree with on absolutely anything, when they had the audacity to come out and chastise the president of the United States, he chastises them back.
Yeah, but he pulled it down. When you say he won't admit it, he did pull it back down.
But who is in charge of the man who's in charge of the free world? If he can put out things and then be like, whoops, we can't have someone in charge who can do that. He needs to at least have a team around him that can stop him from putting up the wrong thing.
He's the president of the United States. He can put whatever he wants up. You're not in charge. You can't tell him what to do.
That's the attitude in the White House.
But that's he can't.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
A big part of the issue is that no one seems able or willing to tell Donald Trump to stop. And Lee McGowan and Bari Weiss are right on point when they say he is not fit for this office. Yet people keep brushing it off by saying he is just getting older, or pointing to comments like the one Abby Phillips showed about him being unstable, even though none of this is new, because we already saw 4 years of his behavior in office, and years after that filled with false claims about a stolen election and bizarre statements that should have been more than enough for the Republican Party and its media voices to step in and say, this is not acceptable, and we cannot support him again. But instead, figures like Hal Lambert and likely Noah Rothman twist themselves trying to explain what he really meant, even suggesting he thought the image showed a doctor, which makes no sense because if he cannot recognize that he was being portrayed as Jesus in that image, then it raises serious questions about his judgment. And as Bari Weiss pointed out, it even feeds into the idea that he does not truly understand or care about the religion he claims to represent, since many people see his connection to Christianity as purely political. Yet even in this moment, he had a simple option to admit a mistake, apologize, and move on. But instead, everything turns into denial, excuses, and strained attempts to reframe the situation while blaming critics for not understanding humor. Even though the reality is people do not want a president treating serious responsibility like a joke, because this role affects the lives of millions at home and around the world, influences markets and policies, and carries real consequences. So dismissing criticism by saying others just do not get the joke misses the point entirely, especially when a joke has to be explained to make sense, which only proves it does not land in the first place.
Pushback, though, that he did it. It stayed up for 13 hours.
Well, I'm just saying, she keeps saying, who's going to stop him from doing this?
Well, I think,
the military,
is going to stop him.
No. I
think. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. You've been trying to jump in. It's like double dutch around here. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just confused as to what the New York Times is identifying as being odd behavior here. I mean, this is precisely how he's behaved for the last 8 years, 10 years. If you ask Republican voters.
And that is exactly where the frustration comes in. Because people like Noah Rothman and others pushing this line should have been calling this out years ago instead of defending it now. And the same goes for the rest of the party, which had every chance to step in earlier and put forward someone more stable and grounded, but chose not to. And that failure keeps showing up in moments like this, where the same behavior gets excused instead of seriously questioned.
Back in the first term, the first thing they tell you they don't like about Donald Trump is the tweets, back when it was Twitter. Right. The tweets. You can't count on 15 hands how many times his social media has gotten him in trouble, and yet he can persist in part because this is something
but don't you think on
it's not okay. It's just a feature of how he is, and I wish they had a more disciplined com shops.
I think you're right. Like, look, there's a polling earlier this year. 61% say that Trump doesn't share their values. 64% say he does not have the right temperament to be president. So you're right. Americans see him for who he is. But I think the issue,
Republicans don't like that too.
The issue right now is on the importance of the things that he's sending these messages about. It's not just calling his political opponents names. He's threatening to wipe out a civilization in the middle of a war. And then he's getting into a tit for tat, which we'll talk more about in a little bit, with the Pope, and then sending out an image that even his own supporters are saying, don't do that. I mean, Riley Gaines' comment was, a little humility would serve him well. God shall not be mocked. But it's the why. It's the stuff that he's doing it on that makes a difference.
I do think there's a little.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I actually don't have much to say. I think everybody's right. I think Riley Gaines is right that we wish the president would exercise a little bit more discretion. He cannot do that. He refuses to do that. And then folks like J.D. Vance come around and say, well, this is what's best about him. It does fuel his ego in ways that
But I also think that we're not clearly acknowledging the fact that it's getting worse. And I had a great aunt, Jenny Marie. She was the matriarch of our family. And she was 88 years old and still driving. And then she used to come to church and park in the front. And then the day she hit the pastor's car, my dad had to go take away the keys, right? Because it just progressively got worse.
Is this going to be an Article 25 discussion again? You guys have been talking about Article 25.
No. So I have two concerns. One is that the president, I believe, lacks discernment, and I think that's getting worse. The second thing is you won't call a spade a spade. And the fact that if you can't call what he did sacrilegious, which is clearly the definition of sacrilegious, I think that would be my second problem.
Well, obviously, I wouldn't have posted it out there, and I think President Trump realized he shouldn't have pulled it down.
But can you be critical of him?
I also
I don't think he should have posted it.
But why not apologize? Why not admit I did something?
That's a very good question.
I think part of it is in politics, when you start apologizing, you run into problems. And I think that's the issue.
That is not okay. Just to be clear.
But in Christianity, when you start apologizing,
hold on a
you
second.
actually help.
Just to be clear, it is not true that in politics, when you apologize, things start to go wrong. That the only person who believes that is Donald Trump, and he is wrong about that. In politics, it is okay to acknowledge mistakes. That's actually what most politicians do. The fact that Trump doesn't do it is not it's not a virtue, Al. I mean, it's not a virtue. And why, by the way, is it that Trump needs to post something first, see the backlash to realize that it was wrong?
Well, as was said, he's been posting now for 12 years.
Yeah, but does he have the judgment to know that it's wrong before he posts it?
I think he does. I mean, this was done at 3 a.m, I think. So
what was going on at 3 a.m. at the White House?
He thinks it's cool. Like he posts this thing where he's dressed up as Robert Duvall in Apocalypse Now, going to war with Chicago. He thinks it's cool.
But also at 4 a.m. But also at 4 a.m. on Easter Sunday, he was also posting about committing a genocide. Like you can't decouple them. And all I'm saying is when you look at them together. And when you look at them, not in exclusivity, but together, you have a president of the United States who is getting older by the day.
I really think we should make a distinction between being provocative and blasphemous with making threats against an adversary in war that you've interpreted to mean breaking the nuclear taboo.
I will take the fact that you called it blasphemous, so I'll take a win.
You just said a lot of things there now.
I think Noah Rothman and Hal Lambert, the two MAGA voices here, end up strengthening the very argument they are trying to push back against. Because in trying to defend Donald Trump, they actually highlight the concern that he is not fit for the office, since they are basically admitting that he lacks the judgment to realize he should not have posted something like that in the first place. And even when Hal Lambert points out that the post was taken down, it still raises the obvious question of why it went up at all, which circles back to a bigger issue about maturity and responsibility. Because someone in that position should understand the weight of their actions, especially when leading a country. And while it might be one thing for a private figure or a television personality to post whatever they want, the president is held to a different standard, where words and actions carry real consequences. And as Abby Phillip pointed out during the discussion, this comes down to basic awareness and judgment, something critics argue has been missing for a long time. And that concern is not new, since many people saw similar patterns years ago, but still chose to support him anyway. And now the same cycle continues, where defenders try to reframe or excuse behavior instead of addressing it directly, even as public opinion data shows a large portion of people feel he does not reflect their values, which adds another layer to the debate. And it also raises questions about accountability going forward, because when political figures leave office, there was often an attempt to reshape narratives and distance from past positions. Yet viewers are left to decide where they stand on all of this, whether they agree more with voices like Bari Weiss and Lee McGowan who are calling out the behavior, or with those defending it, and whether they believe moments like this should lead to acknowledgement of mistakes or continue to be explained away.